and if you're putting him on a team, with a deep lineup, yeah, I think he can make a difference for one of these top teams, or a team looking to who's on the bubble to get in the playoffs, so I think Colorado is that team. St. Louis, I know. Look, they're looking to be back to back champs. So
Hey, they're playing like they don't need anybody, man.
yeah, but it's still you can always bulk up for the playoffs. The West is you got some tough teams out there. So Boston, Kreider's from that area, so they're a team that I've seen rumored to want him. I think they're always a big physical team. Come playoff time or even in the regular season. So I think he would fit in. With what they like to do. So yeah, I think there's definitely a handful of teams, that would love to have him out there, and he would fit in nicely.
All right, we'll see. All right, look, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I like the guy. I don't know. I don't know what. It'd be very interesting to see what if he does go, what we get back for him. You know what I'm saying? So.
Look, if the Rangers can get, they got a first round pick, Lemieux, and I think they got another pick for Hayes. I mean, Kreider is at the very least getting you a first, very least getting you at least a first round pick, and then probably a prospect on top of that. I think that'll be the biggest thing. How good of a prospect? Is he would he get on top of a first round pick?
What if you throw Capo in the deal?
What? I mean, with the way he's been playing, I know you would get.
That's why I wanted to turn the subject here a little bit.
I was like, wait, what?
We touched about Capo last week. I was asking you about should the Rangers maybe possibly send him down, down to Hartford, just so, what do you think? I know you wanted to talk about him tonight. I was kind of surprised, but what do you want to go with Capo?
Yeah, I mean, Ranger Twitter was going crazy today because, one of these, fancy stat guys had pointed out that, according to whatever, calculations or math problem or, geometry or whatever the heck they do to put these sort of fancy stats together, said that Capo was the worst player in the NHL at 5-on-5, during part of the season. So that's pretty bad, my friend. The worst player.
They've hid that from us. It's only coming out now. That's what wait a second. That's what the goalie thing is all about. Is so we don't pay attention to how bad Capo Caco's playing.
That's right. And to be honest, I don't care. And I talked about this last time. And again, you call me that, again, I'm the guy who's, on the Rangers payroll and I'm carrying their water. I'll say it every week. So I'll make excuses for Caco. The kid is friggin' 18 years old. He's been playing like nonstop hockey since like last summer. So, excuse the kid that he's like completely wiped. But, maybe he needs some time in the AHL, and that's fine. I would have no problem with it. And I don't think that makes, the pick a mistake or that he's a bust or that, another long line of, terrible Ranger draft picks, another Pavel Brendel or, Lundmark or, Malholtra, name your guy. He's an 18-year-old kid who's still trying to figure it out. And if sending him down to the AHL and putting him on a line with Kravtsov, will get him going and let him relax. And again, finding his scoring touch, then great. Send him down there for the rest of the year. Get him in the, the Calder Cup playoffs. Get him some playoff action because God knows he's not going to get anything on the NHL roster this year. So I have no problem with him being the worst statistical, player in the NHL at 5-on-5 this year. it doesn't bother me in the least. I still think he's destined for greatness, and
Destined.
you like that, right?
I do.
And even if it means that he has to go down to the AHL to figure it out, I'd much rather he go down to the AHL and figure it out than him just completely getting screwed up by staying in the NHL when he's not ready. I mean, you've seen that way too many times. Again, I mentioned, Malhotra, who probably should have spent more time down in the AHL. A guy like Michael Del Zotto probably should have started his career in the NHL. Sometimes the Rangers try to, force these guys on the NHL roster because they have, great camps in, their rookie year when they probably need a full year of down in the AHL to really get themselves NHL ready. So, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for him to spend the rest of the season down in the AHL just to get, confidence in himself, learning, the NHL rinks or, whatever it is that, is holding him back at this point. Or, I just don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
No, I don't. I think, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? That's what the farm system's about. That's what development is. This is the rebuild of the rebuild now that we're calling it here. And who knows? We might get another letter this summer, KD, from JD and Gordon. I mean, this is the trip that we're in, man. I mean, hey, look, and everybody that's listening right now, too. I mean, I'm sitting here. Me and Katie were talking about this before the show. It's like, them not playing games right now. It's one aspect of obviously a big part of the conversation, especially in doing this show and everything. And we overlap here with this follow-up show to last week's show, which we tore into the trade stuff, and nothing's really changed, obviously, and we have to sit here and wait. And even guys like Capo and some of the other guys on the team, and Panarin obviously got to come back from injury here, and seeing how these guys bounce back, refresh their legs here, and get into it, Detroit, and obviously the schedule. We talked about how important, and I think, KD, we were talking about it as far as, primarily a point situation, and more or less in terms of Quinn and Ruff and the system, and seeing them change and develop as far as last month and this month. And I know we kind of graded Coach Q in terms of at the half point way of the season here. So they've avoided the serious tailspin, and they had a pretty good January, I guess, until the two bummer losses there at the end before the All-Star break. And now it ramps up again, and all we've got to do is talk about this crazy goalie situation and the trade prospects. And, I guess what I'm getting at here is what is your outlook here with the upcoming schedule here? Detroit, and then let me see who else is coming in here. We got the Stars and the Leafs, the Sabres and the Kings, all coming into the Garden. And then we head out, I think, to the Midwest for a little bit here, too. What's your are you looking at now? Because when and it's all right to say it right now. They're not going to make the playoffs, right? So what are you looking at right now for the team? Are you more looking at like saying how maybe guys like Kreider and Fast and any of these guys who might be the Rangers want to showcase here for possible trade stuff? Obviously, who the hell knows going to play goaltenders? That's another situation. Or are you kind of pulling for these guys to kind of cohesively pull together, put a few wins here, and you never know what happens with the other teams, and maybe climb back closer to the wild card? Where are you, KD, with the team as far as would you rather they stay in the fight here and try and go for it, or you don't want to be teased like that? You'd rather just see them, I don't know. What do you root for in the sense of losing? You see some fans there talking on social media. Every team does it when they're kind of struggling. And if the team drops down a little more in the standings, they pull a little farther. As far as tanking and, the prospects of the draft next week, where's your head with the upcoming schedule now going into February and leading up to the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to remain consistent with this. I mean, I've been saying it all year. It's not about wins and losses. It's about, the team developing and the players developing. What I'm going to be watching is if Kakko stays, is he developing? Is he going to get better? Is Fox going to continue to get better? And Lindgren and, these young guys, Lemieux, and I want to see these guys continue to get better. I want to see more. I'm going to be consistent. I want to watch to see if this team can be more consistent, because they've been all over the place this year. They've had tremendous games and followed it up with stinkers, and then follow up a stinker with a tremendous game. So, I really want to see, more than anything, the defense really progress, and it has. And we've talked about this as well, that the defense over the last month or so has actually gotten a lot better. They're still not good, but they've been better. I want to see if that continues on for the rest of the year. Now, I don't really care if that translates into wins and losses or not. I just want to see them start to get better. I want to see a better product on the ice on a more consistent basis. So, for me, I'm looking for more consistency from the lineup. I'm looking for more consistency from Quinn in what he's doing with the lineup, and you saw that in January, and I was very happy to see that, and very encouraged, by what I was seeing with Quinn and what he was doing with more consistent lines. Now, again, he sort of started jumbling things up again there at the end with Lemieux coming back in the lineup, which, look, I get it. You have a big piece like Lemieux coming back, and you're trying to figure out, is he like, a third line guy, or, do I just keep him on the fourth line with him back? And, I get what he was trying to do there. I mean, unfortunately, you saw him on like top line, which he should not be anywhere near the top line. But as much as I love Lemieux. So I think Lemieux coming back sort of messed a little bit of the consistency up. But hopefully, Quinn can get back to that, so we can see those consistent lines again, which will hopefully lead to consistent effort. And yeah, if that turns into wins and maybe they go on a little run, great. But I hope that doesn't, and it doesn't sound like it will, but that shouldn't, change or predicate what, Gordon and JD are going to do at the trade deadline. So for me, it's continued development, try to continue with the consistency, and I will be a very happy Ranger fan at the end of the year, playoffs or not.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, my big thing is to see the defense to continue to improve if they possibly can. We talked about it last week as far as the shots against coming down. Obviously, not having Panarin in the last game, we'll see what happens there in tune as far as the forwards are concerned. But yeah, I think that'll be the big thing. Is if the defense can stay out of the storylines as far as costing the team games, I think that would be great for me. Tip of the hat here to Coach Q. We've been up and down with him all season too, but he's a guy who's obviously dealing with this too, as far as the roster and the changes and the cohesiveness and trying to mash all the parts together. And I'd be curious. I'd love to have sit down and have a beer or a cup of tea with Coach Q and just imagine what he thinks of this whole situation when he has to put either one or three of these guys in, and I just wonder what the direction is as far as from the top, and how much is this all Quinn making the decisions, or is it really coming from the top in terms of the pressure to either to showcase these guys or figure out what they're going to do. But that'll be a great thing. I think if there's one good thing about this break, and I'd say more than anything for Coach Quinn, hopefully he really got to rest and chill. Hopefully, he really took a good, few days off there and just did something completely different and didn't look at a hockey puck or anything like that, and come back with a fresh start, because he's really got to grab the reins here, and keep this all together, one way or the other, wherever this the team's going to go and the changes that are going to be made, because that's going to affect him too. Because, you might look at this either in a couple of weeks or at the end of the month, he's going to either have, he's going to lose guys. And the guys we're talking about are pretty, important pieces of this team right now. And, you're going to get strangers replacing Rangers. So that's going to be something to kind of look at too. So that'll be interesting for me as far as, how Q comes back here and manages through this onslaught of, 5 or 6 games here. They're day between here, right after Detroit, the back-to-back. So there's a lot of hockey coming our way, and I just hope these guys had a good break. I think the other good thing, too, I guess, Ruff has kind of come out of the storylines a little bit because of the way that the team improved a little bit here defensively, too. So that's the big thing for me. And obviously, getting Panarin back in the lineup here and seeing how the rest of these guys, come and go. But, man, beat the Red Wings this weekend. I think there's enough talent on this team